A few days ago, I asked you guys, would you rather have a C8 Corvette or a C7 Z06? And a lot of you guys said the C7 Z06. So I had to get my hands on one to figure out why that is and really compare the two cars. Reason being is because they're right around on the same price level. So we're gonna go for a drive in this thing, and just before we do, let's take a look at how beautiful this car is. This one is in bright yellow, and it has nice black accents as well. My only complaint with the C7 Z06 on the exterior is that there's not a lot on the outside that give it away as a Z06 rather than a Stingray. Of course, you have the badge right there, and in the back you have clear tail lights, which is not on the Stingray right here. And then this is a very nice spoiler as well. So with that being said, let's hop in the Z06. 650 horsepower, 650 pound-feet of torque, and take this thing for a drive. Heads up, this is the fastest car I've ever driven in my life. And stay tuned to the end, because we're gonna go to a nice little spot over at North Korea and do some extremely hard pulls in this thing and test out this car's capability. So, all right, first things first. To give you the answer as to which car you should buy, the one thing that I think determines which car is right for you is, do you actually use the car's full potential? Because if you're not somebody that floors it and takes a good bit of risk, then the C8's right for you, because that's much more of a road car. This one, you run through a couple of gears and, well, you're at, well, let's just say over 100 miles an hour. Watch this. It'll have you looking behind you for cops every single time you do that. It is, I mean, stupid fast. It's borderline unusable for road conditions. But again, it's just, are you a risk taker? Because if you are, then this might be the right car for you. But if you don't use speed, everything the car has to offer that much, then go with the C8, because that one, you can just use that dual clutch transmission, go first, second, third, then you're caught up to around, you know, 60, 70 miles an hour. And besides, once you hit fourth gear in the C8 Corvette, it kind of dies off a little bit. So that thing is just great as a road car, but this one is unbelievably fast. So to talk more just about speed, this car, the C7 Z06, has probably the most menacing sound I have ever heard. You do not have to have the windows down. We have our windows up right now, and the sound in the interior when you're accelerating, it literally sounds like there is a demon behind you, like the actual devil just chasing you, trying to bring you to hell. Oh my gosh. And this has so much power that in no way would I ever feel comfortable enough going flat out in a corner. Yes, the traction control in the C7 Z06 saves you, as well as the C8. Corvettes do have, you know, really good traction control. It won't let you mess up unless you're just that bad of a driver. Not to say I'm perfect by any means, but this thing will keep you tame if needed. And by the way, you know, I still love the interior and the exterior design of the C7 Corvette. The exterior, I'm leaning towards the C8 100%, no doubt. That car is just so beautiful. This one's still great, but the C8 blows this out of the water, I will say that. As for the infotainment system, I mean, not much of a huge difference with the C8, or sorry, the gauge cluster. With the infotainment system, that's a huge difference. But I'm not huge on the interior designs necessarily. I'm more just like, which car is more fun to drive? And they're both so fun to drive in their own way. This is one where you get in and you can scare yourself every single time you hop in this car. The C8 is so smooth that this sounds pretty surprising to say, it has 490 horsepower, but you will get used to that car. It's not that intimidating to drive. This one is, and if you have passengers that you take for a ride, you'll probably make them freak out if you have the balls to actually floor this car. And that's what it all comes down to, is, are you a ballsy driver? If yes, then the C7 Z06 would be one that I would look at. If no, probably get the C8. These are right around the same price point. which is why this video was something I had to make, because the C8 Corvette started around 65,000, and there's one right there. Absolutely beautiful car. The one we reviewed was in torch red, which, and this one's bright yellow. We just love the bright cars, don't we? But yeah, this car, you can find some used ones at around 65, 70,000. So when you're at that price point, you have to consider this as a competitor to that car. Or if you're looking at this car, consider the C8 as a competitor. You know, which one would I choose? Just because, well, I'm a pretty ballsy driver, I would probably go with this one. And again, here's why. Oh my gosh. Very rarely do I drive or find a car where I do not get tired of the acceleration, or rather bored of it, I should say. This one, okay, you know, I'm sure you guys have seen the videos of Z06s beating Lamborghinis, specifically C7 Z06s. If you want to know what a Lamborghini acceleration feels like, just get a ride in this thing, or try to find one of these. Take one for a test drive or something. This thing does beat Lamborghinis. Sure, it's a little bit different because this has a supercharger on it, whereas the Lamborghini's a V10 and it's naturally aspirated. But either way, I mean, this thing will accelerate faster than a Lambo. Will it take off faster than a Lambo? No. And the C8 Corvette does beat this car from a 0 to 60 launch. I actually tested that in a C8 versus C7 Z06. However, the Z06 was a manual, but there's no denying that the C8 will beat the Z06 in a 60 run. So again, it's just, if you're somebody that's down to go pretty fast, or you like doing races, or you're on the interstate often, this is gonna be the better car. The C8 is gonna be better for city driving and just taking off from red lights. This one, you can take off from red lights, but you're just gonna spin a lot, and then, well, tires are of course very expensive. So, okay, exterior design goes to the C8, undoubtedly. If any of you guys disagree with that, I mean, I guess that's just opinion based, but I would have a hard time believing that over half of the car population people say that the C7 looks better than the C8. That would surprise me. Interior design, yep, the C8 has this one beat, but performance-wise, okay, well, the C8 is better in the corners. That is true. This car, I believe, based on my tests, this one brakes better than the C8 and maintains more braking power when you're like constantly using them over and over and over again than the C8. It accelerates harder than the C8, but it just falls behind in the cornering ability. Now, real quick, to talk about a couple of things that both cars struggle with a little bit, in my opinion, that's gonna be the steering wheel tightness. Even though we're in sport, and even if we throw this thing into track right now, I guess it's a little bit laggy, there we go. The steering wheel is just not stiff enough. It stiffens up, but even in the C8 Corvette, when you put it in sport or track, I was just not satisfied with how much, you know, muscle you had to put into the steering wheel. So the cars, you know, the issues that are in both cars tend to, I guess, you're going to experience them in both. So it's not like one is better or worse than the other. Well, the Z06s and the C8s are going to have their own unique issues in one way. Like, for example, the Z06, the wheels are known to crack, the OEM wheels. And my brother actually has a Z06, and he had to pay, I think it was like $6,000 or $8,000 for these nice aftermarket wheels because his OEM wheels cracked, and GM was like, oh, sorry, your fault, even though it's clearly a manufacturer defect. Now, C8s haven't been around for that long, so we can't, you know, it's too early to say if there's going to be a bunch of issues that come up with that car. But either way, every car is going to have its own unique issues. But again, these are both Corvettes, so you can find some similarities with complaints between the two cars. But they are so different in their own way. If I were to go to a racetrack, you know, that's, yep, I'm back to choosing the C8 Corvette. But if I'm just gonna be on straights, if I live near back roads, I'm gonna have to choose the C7 Z06, because out of all the cars I have ever driven, this by far has been the most fun to just let it ring out. And that was the traction control kind of cutting the power a little bit, because again, it's got your back, and I absolutely love that. You can find plenty of videos of C7 Z06s crashing, but that's why you don't turn off traction control. Oh my gosh, I am absolutely in love with this car. The fact that you can get this speed, this power, this acceleration, this experience for $60,000 to $80,000, depending on what condition or what mileage you want to pick yours up in, is just incredible to me. I mean, I get it. A Lamborghini is, you know, unique in its own way because it's just more rare. I think that was an M8? That looked, or M6? That looked beautiful. A Lamborghini is, you know, I feel like you're really gonna buy that for the status. Sure, the Corvette does bring the status. It's still a Corvette, and like I said, on the exterior, you're not gonna be able to tell this, you know, apart from a Stingray nearly as much as a lot of other cars with the badging in the exterior additions. But hey, again, if you're not somebody that's just like, I need everyone to know that I'm a millionaire, or I need everyone to like get on their knees when they see me, then this car is arguably better than a Lamborghini. You save $140,000. And I don't know, a supercharger is fun. That it makes you can hear the supercharger as you're accelerating, which not as good as Hellcats, of course. Those superchargers are set up very nicely. I know you can do mods to the supercharger that make it more easily able to be heard, which I would do if I bought this car, because I think a supercharger one is one of the best things about having a supercharger. But I don't mind this not being naturally aspirated. Its supercharger is a great addition to a meaty V8. It does not get old. Oh my gosh. Listen to those pops too. It just keeps going. That's so good. And are we clear? I believe we're clear. It is insane. And go. Oh my gosh! This thing is... what? Like, what? I cannot describe this in any other way, but it sounds like the actual devil is right behind you, just screaming. Holy crap! Here we go! This thing... do that a few times, which, well, that's exactly what we're doing, and get in any other car and you'll realize how absolutely boring it is. Like, this is, we've made it. I mean, you know, my whole life I've always wanted to get in a Lamborghini, but this might be better. I'm dead serious. I don't think, I don't know, but there is no way a Lamborghini beats this sound. How about the cornering? Let's throw this thing around. Yep, the C8 is definitely more controllable when throwing it around, just because of the mid-engine layout. But that's not to say this thing is extremely good at doing it. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So, let's get out and let's talk about some of the final thoughts between the two cars. All right, this thing, sound destroys the C8. Acceleration destroys the C8. Cornering, worse. Looks, worse. Again, that's a subjective subject though. And then interior design is worse. But these cars, if you're in the market for a sports car, you're in it because, well, you like to drive it, not stare at the interior. The exterior is important, but this thing is still sexy enough. So, in my opinion, I'm gonna settle on this car over the C8 Corvette. In my C8 review, I said I would choose the C8, but as soon as you really use the potential that this car has in terms of acceleration, you choose this car. Again, if I was going to a track though, I would choose the C8. If I was just driving in the city, I would choose a C8. But overall, if I know I'm living near back roads or a location like this car just blows the C8 out of the water. So I guess it just depends on the situation. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think in the comments. Appreciate you, love you, and I will see you in the next one. By the way, which one would you choose? See you in the next one. Peace.